Matt Bernier, joined by DRF's national handicapper Mike Watchmaker, taking a look at the second of three for this Saturday's Weekend Warrior. You've got I shouldn't say graded stakes, New York bred stakes galore all over. Race number 6, no different. It is the Sleepy Hollow, $250,000 of the purse. 2-year-olds going a one-turn mile. You've got a field of 11 in here, Mike. And you've got some pretty, based on speed figures anyway, some nice looking New York breds at this point in the year. You're going to go with We Should Talk.
I am going with We Should Talk. I should say that, Saturday is state bred day at a lot of places. You got Maryland Million card at Laurel, just a loaded card there, and the feature out of Santa Anita's for Calbreds as well. New York breds, well, we just saw New York bred win the Jock Cup Gold Cup, so they're pretty good. And you're right. I think there are some promising 2-year-olds in this race, but for reasons which I'm sure we'll get to in a moment when we talk about some of the other horses in this race, I wanted someone who could close here, and I think We Should Talk is that horse. We Should Talk wasn't bet when he shipped up from Laurel to Belmont to make his recent debut, but he went off at 11-1, but he won like he should have been even money. He showed a lot of poise, sitting well off a pace that was pretty fast, and yet he just rolled by the pace setter in the final eighth of a mile. I mean, just blew by that horse, and it was an eye-catching, impressive performance. The speed figure, he got a 78, was good, especially in comparison to this field. He's got every right to improve. Second start of his career. As a matter of fact, with the way he won that race, I thought he was barely scratching the surface of his ability. I think We Should Talk is an interesting horse who's going to like to stretch out to a mile, and I think the pace sets off for him well here.
Two of the horses that figure to take quite a bit of money in this spot are the two that are drawn all the way to the inside. That's the one, Stony Bennett, and then just to his outside is the number 2, Battle Station. They both have very, very competitive buyer speed figures, but the big concern, you look at it on paper, they're both going to the front. You're envisioning some sort of a duel?
Well, yeah, that's why I wanted a closer in here. I imagine one of them might try to take back and avoid a duel, but, from what we've seen from Stony Bennett and Battle Station to this point, they look like horses who want to be on the early lead. Battle Station won his debut going 5.5 furlongs on the turf at Saratoga. He won that wire-to-wire fashion, and then he switched to dirt last time out in the Boneyard, and surprisingly, he just blew that field off the racetrack. Now, he controlled the pace that day, but still ran off to a 9.25 length win, whereas Stony Bennett also shipped up from Laurel to make his debut at Belmont, a lot like the horse I picked, We Should Talk. But unlike We Should Talk, Stony Bennett was bet long and strong in that race. He was bet like, the race was run the day before, and he delivered. I mean, he went right to the front, set fast fractions, and drew off very nicely through the stretch. Given that these horses are drawn towards the inside, and from what we know of these horses, I think they're going to go. And they're stretching out to a mile, both of them are. And I just think that the pace situation is kind of destructive for these two horses. They're both nice horses, very promising, but I just think they're going to do each other damage pace-wise in this race. Battle
Station, you made mention, he just went off and ran and hid from the entire field that he ran against. The favorite that day at even money is also in this field, the 7, Inalienable Rights from Mark Henning. They add the blinkers this time around, and I suppose you could look at it and say maybe the distance is going to be beneficial for him. Do you think you're going to get an improved effort here, or do you think he just kind of is what he is at this point?
He's the other horse in the race for me, Inalienable Rights, is because like I said, Battle Station, we both talked about it. He ran off and hid that day, but he also controlled the pace. And the pace wasn't especially fast. And I think that the pace setup is going to be completely different this time. I think it's going to be more in favor of Inalienable Rights, who's a bit of a closer, who was struggling last time on a very good loose leader, but might get a better pace set up at this time, and also might be a little bit in the game, more in the game than he was when he was second in the funny side at Saratoga 2 starts back with the additional blinkers. The Mark Henning Bard's having a really good meet at Belmont. I think Inalienable Rights is the other horse in this race. He is, at least the way I see it.
Analyze the Odds comes in here for Pletcher Castellano, most recently shipped up to the Finger Lakes to win a race there. Any concern that this horse just isn't really getting all that much faster through 5 lifetime starts?
It is. So, you nailed it, Matt. I mean, he's had 5 starts, and his figures have gone nowhere. 63, 60, 71, 67. We're at the point where these 2-year-olds are supposed to be taking step forwards from a speed figure standpoint because they're getting more mature. This horse isn't. I think that's a bad sign.
Race 6 at Belmont, 2-year-olds going a mile on the main track. It's the Sleepy Hollow. $250,000 is the purse. Mike's going to go with the number 8, We Should Talk, for Horatio De Paz and Joel Rosario. We're going to take a break. When we come back, third and final race for this Saturday's Weekend Warrior. We stay at Belmont. We stay with the New York Breds with the Hudson Handicap.